Internet, what is really good. You know what it is. It's the one and the only, the triple, the G.O.D. And of course, I'd like to welcome you guys back to another installment of Triple the Guy Speaks. So, yo, the road to WrestleMania goes straight through Fastlane. And I sit here and think about that, knowing that there should have been a pay-per-view after this, because that's what Roadblock was for. It made sense because it's the final roadblock before the road to WrestleMania, but that's just me just on my 1-2. But I just had to say that because, yo, regardless of that, we will be actually talking about Smackdown a little bit after we get done talking about this pay-per-view, because it's going to be a long minute before I get back on the mic and can talk about the WWE in proper. So remind me to remind me to remind you to remind me to remind myself to do that, alright? But yo, WWE Fastlane, man. The last pay-per-view before we get to the showcase of the Immortals. And yo, I'm like, let's just go ahead and get to the business as usual. I have the results pulled up because no one watches the kickoff show. And speaking of that kickoff show, Rich Swann and Akira Tozawa beat the Brian Kendrick and Noam Dar in a tag team match, cruiserweight, blah blah blah. But you know, like I said, it's like I have to say, and I will take 2 seconds to say this because I will have to kind of sort of repeat it again later in our broadcast. I gotta say, man, it's like I thought they was gonna give, you know, the cruiserweight some shit time, but between the shine they get, the little shine that they get on Raw, and the whole world of trying to build 205 Live, I gotta say WWE handling the cruiserweights pretty well. So I just wanted to take 2 seconds just to say that. And now that I've said it, let's actually go to that thing that I paid money to watch, and that is the actual pay-per-view. Joe beat Zayn in a no-dub today, because you knew that the hell that was going to happen, because I'm like, if Sami Zayn couldn't fucking pin Braun Strowman, and more on that later, is how the fuck did you think they was going to try to beat a monster like Joe? Because it is not even because saying that they could have wrote it that way if they wanted to, but they trying to build Joe into something, and you can't try to build Joe into the monster you want, and he taking L's from Sami Zayn, so it's like, yeah, that makes sense. But it's like, but the match was hot though. They was going at each other, but you know Joe was gonna whoop his ass, because it's like Joe, man, it's like Sami Zayn had a little sprink of offense, and then Joe just whooped that ass and put him in that Kakina clutch, and Joey Samoa wrapped up another one. It should be interesting to see where this goes from here, but we aren't done with Joe quite yet in this broadcast. We'll be talking about him a bit later. Gallows and Anderson beat Enzo and Big Cass, and that was going to happen because, given the screwy technical finish of the match, is that the question that I have is, and I called this when I first started doing these, was Enzo and Big Cass going to win the titles at Mania? But the question is, how the fuck do you make these two look like contenders for 4 weeks of television to make what is going to be their rematch at WrestleMania something believable to see? Unless they do something screwy in either A, Gallows and Anderson beat them for real, or that Enzo and Cass win the title before Mania. But again, that makes no sense because, again, WWE, all about building those moments. So you want to give Enzo and Big Cass that big moment because of the momentum they have, because they over with the universe and all that type of shit. And it's like, it's like, I said this too. I knew it was going to be Gallows and Anderson who were going to walk into Mania with the titles, because in the tag team division, you really didn't and still don't have a competent heel team. You just don't have that at all. It's like the New Day fucking trying to make ice cream pops and shit, so who cares about them? There are other things, but we are going to talk about that in a brief second. So who else you got in their tag team division? You got, what, the Shining Stars? You know what I'm saying? It's like, they got other teams, Lord knows, I forget who they are, but like I said, Enzo and Cass, they gonna win the titles at Mania. And Carl Anderson and Luke Gallows are the perfect team to go drop them too. You get your WrestleMania moment, certified G, bona fide studs, Raw after Mania. Congratulations. So it is what it is with that. My boo Sasha beat Nia Jackson, and I was kind of like, I kind of had a stink eye at the finish, because I was like, Nia Jax spent like a good 4 or 5 minutes whooping this poor girl's ass, and she made a single mistake. Sasha rolled her up, bridged her, and got the 1, 2, 3, and I'm just like, huh? It's like, because the thing is that the writers ain't knowing what to do with poor Nia Jackson. She got that. And it's like, you got Nia Jax, you could build up to be a monster heel, but in the same division where you have Charlotte, who the division revolves around, and you got the weird Bayley thing going on, and we'll talk about that later, and you got Sasha Banks, and you got Nia Jax, the only four legitimate divas who need to be anywhere talking about a title, and you do things like have Nia Jax lose to a pin, lose clean like that to Sasha Banks, and it's like, Nia Jax deserves a better build. That's all I'm saying. It's like she deserved a better build, and she would have been perfect to be carrying the title in the Mania to drop it to Bayley. Because, see, then you got that David versus Goliath thing you can build on. You know what I'm saying? But we'll talk more about this women's division later, because there is actually a women's championship match we do have to get to. So, more on that later. In other news that you may or may not care about, Jinder and Rusev broke up for some reason, not that anyone cares or how or why, which then led into like a 20-minute piss break because we have to fill this we have to fill this pay-per-view somehow. So here's how they decide to fill this pay-per-view. Is you have Jinder Mahal and Rusev argue about who's going to fight first. And then they have a fight, and then Jinder Mahal hits Rusev with a tiger knee, and then Cesaro comes out. Cesaro whoops his ass. At some point while Cesaro is whooping his ass, Rusev magically gets up and is over there at the Spanish announce table for whatever reason, because Spanish announce table. And then the match is over. Rusev beats his ass, and then the Big Show comes out. The Big Show! Oh God, I don't know why I did that. But the Big Show came out, and then whooped Rusev's ass, chokeslamming him 3 times, and then hit him with a WMD. And I'm just sitting up here like, poor fucking Rusev. Like, remember when he came out in the tank? Y'all remember that? Y'all remember how over he could have been if he'd have beat John Cena when he came out in a motherfucking tank? Y'all remember that shit? Because I do, and it's just like, fuck. And that's all you can really say at this, and it's just like, damn, man. Poor Rusev. I'm like, damn. It's like, and it was really for like that 2 seconds after the draft when they thought they were just playing around with Jinder Mahal and, trying to reform 3-man band and all that stuff with Heath Slater and all of those shit, and he ended up on Raw, and then he ended up in this because of some shit with Enzo Amore and Big Cass, and they about to become tag team champions in about a month, so trajectories, motherfucker. In our Cruiserweight Championship match, Neville and Jack Gallagher, they went at each other. I'm like, as much as, I'm not into the Cruiserweight division like I should be, this match made me stand up and pay attention because Neville and Jack Gallagher went at each other. At each other's throats, headbutts, uppercuts, you name it, they threw it at each other. And then Jack Gallagher tried to L2R2 Neville and then got Red Arrow for it. And if you don't know what the L2R2 thing reference is, you should go play some of the Smackdown games on PS2, just letting you know. But here's the thing. Here's another one of those, we trying to build some moments. This ain't over between Neville and Jack Gallagher. It ain't over. It's like, unless they gonna try to burn this off somehow on 205 Live and try to give Neville some challenger that looks like that person could be a challenger for WrestleMania, Jack Gallagher gonna win the title with Mania. That's how you do that. And he's going to win it on the kickoff show because, that's how little the title means. Put money on it. Because there's no, unless the Cruiserweights are going to be the opening ladder match, which also kind of sort of makes a little sense. Because they had a Fatal 5-Way a while back, so, a ladder match could work, but, whatever they do, Jack Gallagher gonna walk out of WrestleMania with the title. What they do with it after that, who knows? In other news today, Roman Reigns beat Braun Strowman, and I'm like, why? You know what I'm saying? You have sat up here for the better part of months, because I can't be asked to keep up with the math at this point, is you have been building up Braun Strowman to be this monster. But you build him up so Roman can knock him down? Yeah, the silence. Exactly my point. Is that the thing is that when you legitimately think about Braun Strowman's build, it's like dominate people, handicap match, dominate people. That weird ass thing with Sami Zayn, all this back and forth between Roman and Braun Strowman that led to this. Is that when you think about it, like logically, and I mean logically, is that where are you going with Roman Reigns and Braun Strowman? Like, what trajectories do they have? It's like Chris Jericho been the U.S. champion for like 2 or 3 months, and ain't nobody challenging him, and ain't nobody synced his ass since he got his ass whooped at the Festival of Friendship. Tears rip still. It's like what kind of trajectory you got Roman Reigns on? Because regardless of the final result of the Universal Championship match, which we will get into later, you're not going to be nowhere in that orbit. It's that I just don't know. Like, what do you do with these two? Like, what do you do? What is like, do you set up a run back at Mania? Do you try to burn this off with the 4 weeks of TV you've got to fill? What do you do with these two? And that's not a question for me to answer. That's not a question for me to answer, because there ain't none of my muck and business what they do with these two, but find something for them to do. I don't care what you do with them, just find something to do with these guys, because you can't go nowhere else with this. They had a hard-fought match. They went back and forth. Roman Reigns was, of course, going to win, because you ain't ready to give Braun Strowman that type of love yet. But what do you do with these two? That's the only question I got, and I'm going to sit up here for the next 4 Raws trying to figure out what you going to do with these two. Bayley beat Charlotte with Sasha's help again. And I am wondering, is this part of some face turn, heel turn thing for the ladies involved? I do wonder, because it's like, I don't really get why Sasha came out there in the first place. I'm like, unless Bayley's finna turn around and be some Dr. Clawmaster villain, like this was my master plan all along for me and my best girl to wrestle at WrestleMania or some shit, which would kind of make sense. Is that if you're trying to use this to try to get Charlotte over as a face at this point because she's the one being wrong, I don't know. The thing is, the 3 elements in this, whatever it is, I don't get it. I'm like, my thing was, Charlotte was doing Charlotte. Bayley was Bayley and Charlotte were going back and forth, but Charlotte was getting the best of her until fucking Sasha came down. Then Sasha tried to intervene in the match multiple times. She wasn't sent to the back. Nothing happened. I don't get it. So unless the both of them are finna come out the next Raw and be we heels, fuck this, hold your L so that you can turn Charlotte face so that she can win the title back at Mania, which would be stupid as all get out, is I want to see where this goes. I want to see where this goes because I have questions. I have questions, and the answers are going to come from wherever the fuck they're going to come from, because, you know, writing for professional wrestling and stuff. Okay. Before we get into KO versus Goldberg, there is something that, you know, just for the sake of, you know, me reviewing this, that I would like to set up. So please fuck with your boy for a minute. Alright. At this juncture, during the pay-per-view, is that my whole thought was, how is KO going to retain the title? Because that was my thought. Because I honestly walked into this pay-per-view and honestly thought that it was going to be some screw nasty garbage that was going to allow KO to walk out with the title, because I'm sitting up here and I'm believing that there is no way in fucking hell they gonna put the title on Goldberg so he can face Brock for it, because that makes negative infinity fucking sense. None. You don't need the title to elevate Goldberg versus Brock. You don't. It's just two dudes trying to go at it in a return match, and it's just like. So I sat up here and I was debating in my head before while I was watching the pay-per-view is, what are your opportunities for the screw job? It's like, in far-reaching me, I was like, the Festival of Friendship was a fucking ginormous fucking setup, and Chris Jericho gonna hit us with the Oki again. Earlier in the night, you had Mick Foley talking to Samoa Joe, telling him don't interfere in the match, and for like 2 seconds it was confusing. Like, why would Mick tell Joe this? And then, you know, second 3 came up and it was like, oh, Triple H, okay, fine. It's like, Paul Heyman was interviewed early by Charlie Baltimore, whatever the damn girl name is. I can't be asked to remember here. She interviewed Paul Heyman. Brock is in the building somewhere. So right now at this point, including my own, you know, trying to figure it out for myself, trying to summon Sanders this shit together, is how is KO going to walk out of here? Because there's no way in hell that they gonna put the title on Goldberg. And then I remember something very important because of history. Y'all remember this dude? His name was CM Punk, right? And he had a fucking amazing title reign. And for some reason, he dropped the title to The Rock, and it was stupid as fuck. And then, history repeated itself, but not in a way that, you know, that you think history will repeat itself. Because the match didn't technically start, because KO spent like 5 minutes, you know, stalling. Because, you know, KO stalling. KO gets hyped enough, gets back in the ring, and as soon as the match starts, Chris Jericho's music starts playing. He gets distracted, spear jackhammer champion. And then that's when I threw up 2 middle fingers, said fuck it, and walked out of my room because wrestling is fucking stupid. Here I am at this junction, trying to figure out why in the fuck they would put the title on Goldberg. Why? Because depending on the obtuse way I wish to look at it, is, you know, Chris Jericho is still the Universal Champion. So you could have made that a champion versus championship match, and then, you know, KO could have beat Chris Jericho, took the U.S. title, been a dual champion, and Chris Jericho could have played some more Fozzie Bear songs if that's what you wanted to do. Again, I said this earlier. The match between Brock and Goldberg doesn't need the title in any way. The match doesn't need to be elevated. You just want to see the rematch for 1:26. You just want to see if it lasts longer than that. Or you want to see if Brock can beat him in less time. A whole bunch of factors that don't involve this. Because in an instance where you think about it from the other obtuse angle, for you the viewer, is no matter who wins the Goldberg-Brock match, you lose. Because somebody, it's like both of these part-timers. You know what I'm saying? Call it what it is. Both of them part-timers, so no matter what it is, it's going to be just like when Brock was champion the last time. You're not on TV half the time. You got to elevate things to distract that your champion isn't nowhere fucking around. You would think, we learn our lesson. No. Because if you would have learned your lesson, you wouldn't have put the damn championship on fucking Goldberg. You also, at this point, would have had a Money in the Bank winner, you know, just so Goldberg and Brock kick each other's ass. 1, 2, 3 champions. Here comes Money in the Bank. Then you give somebody a big-ass fucking monster push. You get both of them out the way, and then you have a champion. Yes, I did just run a repeat of Seth Rollins, but still. Better than 2 part-timers fighting for a title, were a match that didn't need the title to elevate it in the first place. You would think You learned your lesson after the CM Punk Rock thing. You think you learned your lesson after that whole motherfucking damn near year where Brock was the champion and he only came on TV like 3 fucking times. You think you know. You think you learned. No, we ain't learned shit. And that was a pay-per-view. These next 4 weeks are going to be a thing. But, because I remembered, because you were supposed to remind me, but you didn't, because I remember myself, let's get into Smackdown real quick. Let's get into Smackdown really quickly, because Smackdown is just as much of a mess. Smackdown has been a mess since the Royal Rumble. And we talked about this when Randy Orton won the damn Rumble, because Randy Orton shouldn't have won the Rumble. Simple enough for you. Not saying anything about Randy Orton the wrestler or anything like that. He just shouldn't have won the Royal Rumble. It was just bad. It was like, you don't want Roman to win it, but we gotta give it to somebody, so you give it to Randall ass. Why? It's like, and it just started this weird loop of shit, which led into the Elimination Chamber where Bray won the title. And now this is where shit gets sticky now. Because after Bray won the title, Randy Orton walked down. I'll never fight you, my nigga. I got you, homie. Let's just do it. Let's pound it out. I'll give you the keys to the kingdom, Randy, blah, blah, blah. And then it's put SmackDown in its World Championship, where the main event of WrestleMania has no match because Randy Orton has said, nah, I don't want to wrestle. So a whole bunch of people wrestle. And then it was a battle royal where AJ clearly hit the floor fucking first, but we can't put Luke Harper in a match at WrestleMania because last year you three fools was out there jobbing to the fucking Rock. Okay, so we have all this tomfoolery, and then Randy Orton betrays Bray Wyatt, burned down the house, and like, I'm coming for the title, which then throws everything into disarray that you was once fixed by a battle royal that Luke Harper technically won, but then AJ was giving it to him because he beat him in a match, because we can't trust Luke Harper to be in the main event of WrestleMania. Meanwhile, in the midst of this talking smack, shooting bullshit, John Cena and his boo thing about to fight Miz and his boo thing in a mixed tag team match at WrestleMania, because that's what they building towards, and I'm just like, are you fucking serious? It's like all of this lead up, all of this build happened through the night during the same night where we trying to develop this shit. It's like Nikki had a match with Natalya. Natalya pushed Nikki into Maurice, and then Maurice came out there and helped Natalya get the pin or whatever. And I kind of saw that like, yo, they trying to start something. Then in that same battle royal where, AJ Styles features the floor first, because we don't know how to make a damn fucking corrective decision. We don't know how to do that. John Cena eliminates the Miz. Miz comes out and eliminates John Cena. And then the next week they start shooting on each other about boobs and, about WrestleMania 27 and Nas and all this shit. And I'm just like, oh, fucking okay. And now you're leading into this shit. And I'm just like, why? I can understand you don't want John nowhere near the title at this point. That makes sense. But, a waste of the Miz. It's like, that's the only person in that whole little mix that I'm concerned about is the fucking Miz. Because Miz been kicking ass and he deserve a run. Miz been kicking ass and he deserve a run. That's just me personally. He been kicking ass in the ring. He has fucking turned over a whole new leaf and been doing his thing major like on Talking Smack. And Daniel Bryan too, but that's another degree of things. Meanwhile, Naomi won the title. Naomi hurt herself. Alexa Bliss is the champion again. And now we're going to have a retry of how this all started with Becky Lynch and her. And it's just like, okay. The only thing that may come out of that is Mickie James might betray Alexa Bliss to try to get a shot at the title. That's the only compelling thing that you could probably do with that. Meanwhile, ever since Elimination Chamber, they've been trying to build this Baron Corbin thing, and I'm like, Baron Corbin been kicking ass, so yeah, it's about time for a push. So it would not surprise me if his WrestleMania moment is coming this year when he wins the Intercontinental title off Dean Ambrose, if that's what they decide to do at Mania, or in the 4 weeks leading up to it, because we have to fill up TV and shit. Dolph Ziggler hitting people with chairs and shit, and they still ain't found nothing to do with Apollo Crews old motherfucking ass, and I think that is about everything. No, it's not everything. It's not. No. As Miss Ducky would say, no. American fucking Alpha. They pulled the trigger on them too soon. I need some water. Give me a second, please. That's good. They pulled the trigger on American Alpha too soon. Because you pulled the trigger on American Alpha too soon, and you want to know how? Because it's gone in this complete circle. They sat up here and wrote these guys as this unbeatable team, and it's like the only thing because right now they feuding with the hood souls, because that's what I call them. They the hood souls. We from the block. We from the block souls. I don't know. They some thugs for real. I don't know. They wear all black and shit. I don't know. They should just start throwing up gang signs. I don't fucking know. Y'all some Crips, y'all some Bloods, y'all some Latin Kings, you know what I'm saying? Or y'all some folks, what the fuck going on? I don't fucking know. But it's just the way that they've treated this, because this all started with Heath Slater and Rhino. That's where this all started. I don't think we would be in this mess if they were scared of what they were not going to do with Heath if he lost. Because I honestly think it's still, and we can talk about this leading up to the point that I'm trying to make, is if Heath wouldn't have got all that love from the universe and it would have been ignored, then it would have been a fucking backlash and a riot. So they had to pull the trigger on them, where you could have put the titles on the Usos and had somebody chasing. It got really weird when Randy Orton and Bray Wyatt won the title for them to then lose it a couple of weeks later to American Alpha. It's like they should have planned that better. The American Alpha should be right now in its 4-week build to WrestleMania, should be now chasing for the titles, not being the damn champions. And I'm not sitting up here saying that, they don't deserve to be the champion. It's just the way that it was presented and written, and it's fucked up. Because what are they gonna do? Unless your course correct within this 4 weeks is you put them in, you put American Alpha in a title match, and it's Uso level fuckery. They win the titles, and then you get your rematch at Randy, and then they win them again, which still gets you your WrestleMania moment and gets you a decent, competent heel team to carry the titles into Mania, so the good guys win and the bad guys lose. There is a review of the first 4 seasons of Ninja Turtles, which isn't technically a review, but me praising it. You should watch that, but fucking still. I've been at this for damn near 30 minutes, and all I can say is that WWE is a fucking mess. It's a fucking mess. Because everything is all over the place, but you got 4 weeks to try to build something competent. 4 weeks to build something to build competent builds, competent feuds. A lot of this stuff is no duh. A lot of the stuff I went over with is no duh stuff about who's gonna win and why they're gonna win, because WWE writes things a certain way when it comes to certain things. I don't know, but it'll be interesting to see. The thing is that I'm thinking about doing is I'm thinking about coming at this the night before WrestleMania and just taking a look at the card and like doing some predictions or something like that, and start doing that to double down on stuff, because WrestleMania is a big deal. So I'm gonna be probably covering that though. So it's gonna be interesting to really see where the WWE go from this point, because again, like I say, 4 weeks to try to either course correct, do something competent. Why is Goldberg the fucking champion? What the fuck up with Sasha and Bailey? What the fuck going on with American Alpha? What the fuck up with this Randy Orton coonery? I don't know. I don't know. I just don't know. But I love wrestling dearly. That's all I can say. I love it enough to review it where I know no one watches it. So, triple the guy, crack corn, and no one cares. It is what it is. But, diversify your motherfucking bonds. Yo, I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to get out of here. Turn this into a video. Other stuff. I found some lost footage. It's like me and Jay did some Gunstar shit last year, and I thought, that the footage was gone, but I found it. So, over the next couple weeks, we're going to be turning that into videos that, we try to get ready to get into something else. Because, I have plans to do stuff, but I don't want to jinx those plans and say it. It's just that I'm going to get it when it get done. We got a little bit more of Tekken left to do, and I'm finna try to do that and get that done. So, that and some other stuff. So, more reviews coming up. Of course, we got Q Ranger and we got X8 and whatever else the hell I feel like getting on the mic about. So, with that being said, I'm gonna go ahead. I'm gonna get up out of here. You know who it is. It's the one and the only, the triple, the G.O.D. And of course, I'd like to thank you for joining me for another installment of Triple the Guy Speaks On. And with that, I'll holler at you guys next time, man. Peace out.